All right. So today we're going to do a deep dive into something that might sound a little bit shady,
Hmm.
but you're probably more familiar with than you think.
Okay.
We're talking about shadow IT.
Shadow IT.
Yeah. Have you heard of this before?
I have, yeah. One of those things that sounds a little ominous.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
Like it's happening in the,
Back alleys.
in the back alleys,
That's
exactly.
the internet or something.
Yeah. So maybe we can clear up what it is exactly for folks who haven't heard the term.
Yeah, so basically shadow IT is any technology that gets adopted within an organization
Okay.
without like official approval
Mm.
or oversight from the IT department.
So basically, imagine the IT department throws a party,
Okay.
but like nobody shows up.
Yeah.
That's kind of what shadow IT is. It's like,
Everyone's having their own little party
yeah, everyone's doing their own thing.
that IT doesn't know about.
Exactly. And it's not always with bad intentions.
Right.
A lot of times it's just people trying to get their jobs done.
Yeah. So like think about it. Yeah.
You find this great app that you think could really help your team.
Hmm.
You just download it and start using it.
Or you use your personal cloud storage to share a file.
Right, exactly. Or maybe you sign up for a free trial of some software
Yeah.
without even thinking to ask IT.
All of those are classic examples.
Yeah, so in this deep dive,
Okay.
we're going to explore, like, why people do this.
Mm-hmm.
What are the potential benefits and risks, and how companies are trying to tackle this whole shadow IT thing.
I think what's really fascinating about this topic is that it really reflects just how much technology has changed our lives.
Yeah.
In our personal lives, we're so used to having all these apps and services at our fingertips.
Right.
And it's only natural that this bleeds over into our work lives.
It's like we bring our consumer habits
Exactly.
into the workplace.
Yeah, it's this whole consumerization of technology thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, we've all been there, right?
Absolutely.
We all have those little workarounds and tools that we use to
Yeah.
make our lives easier.
For sure. But before we get into like all the scary stuff, the risks and all that.
Right, the dark side of shadow IT.
Exactly. I think it's important to acknowledge that there can be some benefits to it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. If it's so widespread, there must be reasons why people are doing it right.
Yeah, that's true. So what are some of the upsides?
Well, one of the big ones is productivity.
Okay.
A lot of times, employees turn to these unsanctioned tools because they think it'll help them work faster or more efficiently.
So it's like they're trying to find solutions
Exactly.
to problems that maybe IT hasn't addressed yet.
Right. So, for example, let's say a team finds this great project management app
Okay.
that integrates really well with all their other tools, even if IT hasn't given it the official stamp of approval.
Yeah, they're not going to wait.
They're going to go ahead and use it because it helps them get their work done.
And that can actually lead to faster workflows and turnaround times.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's all about efficiency.
So in a way,
Yeah.
you could almost say that shadow IT can be like a form of grassroots innovation.
That's a great way to put it.
It's like employees finding workarounds and solutions that maybe the company hasn't even thought of yet.
It's like bottom-up innovation.
Right, exactly. And it's not just about individual productivity.
Right.
This can also impact product development.
Oh, absolutely.
So, for example,
Yeah.
imagine you're a developer and you need to test out a new application. Going through the official channels to get the resources you need could take weeks or even months.
Right. Red tape bureaucracy.
Exactly. But what if you could just spin up a cloud server on some platform that you know and trust? You could get started right away.
Exactly. And that speed and agility
Yeah.
can be a huge advantage in today's fast-paced market.
It's like that whole move fast and break things mentality.
Yeah.
But of course, this kind of freedom and flexibility
Yeah.
doesn't come without its risks.
Absolutely. There's always another side to the coin.
Right. So let's talk about security.
Okay.
When employees are using all these different tools and services that IT doesn't know about, it's like creating all these blind spots.
Oh, yeah, big time. When IT doesn't know what's being used, they can't really monitor or secure it.
Right. It's like trying to guard a house
Exactly.
with like a million unlocked doors and windows.
You're just asking for trouble.
Exactly. And the consequences can be pretty serious.
Oh, for sure. You're talking about data breaches, compliance violations.
All sorts of nasty stuff.
It's a recipe for disaster.
So even something as simple as emailing a work document to your personal account can actually create a security risk.
It might seem harmless, but you're essentially taking that data outside of the company's secure environment.
Right. And that's where things can get tricky.
Exactly. You never know who might have access to that information.
Or what they might do with it.
Right. And it's not just about external threats either.
Oh, yeah. What about internal risks?
Well, shadow IT can also increase the risk of accidental data leaks.
Oh, how so?
Well, imagine someone's using a file sharing service
Mm-hmm.
to collaborate on a project that involves sensitive customer data.
Right.
But it's not a service that's been approved by IT.
Okay.
So there's no guarantee that it meets the company's security standards.
Just like a ticking time bomb.
Pretty much that information could easily be exposed either accidentally or intentionally.
And that could lead to, compliance violations, reputational damage, all sorts of headaches.
Absolutely. It's a nightmare scenario.
So we've talked about security risks, but let's not forget about the financial implications.
Oh, right. That's a big one, too.
Yeah, when different departments are buying and using all these different services without any coordination,
Right.
it can lead to a lot of wasted money.
Absolutely. You end up with duplicate services, overlapping subscriptions.
Yeah, it's like nobody's talking to each other.
Exactly. And that can add up to a lot of unnecessary spending.
So shadow IT can hit you in the wallet.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's not just a security issue. It's a financial one, too.
All right, so we've established that shadow IT can lead to security breaches, data leaks, and wasted resources. But let's talk about one specific technology that often plays a role in all of this. OAuth. Have you heard of those?
Yeah, OAuth, it stands for Open Authorization.
Okay, so what is it exactly?
So basically, it's that thing where you can log in to websites and apps using your Google or Facebook account.
Oh, yeah, like log in with Google or log in with Facebook?
Yeah, okay. Instead of creating a whole new account and password,
Right.
you just click a button, boom, you're in.
So it's all about convenience.
It's super convenient for users and developers.
Yeah, I use it all the time.
Me too. It's just so much easier.
But I'm guessing it's not all sunshine and roses.
Well, yeah, there are some security implications, especially in the context of shadow IT.
Okay, so how does OAuth create vulnerabilities?
Well, it's all about how it works. When you use OAuth to log into an app, you're essentially giving that app permission to access certain data from your Google or Facebook account.
Okay.
And that can be a problem if that app hasn't been properly vetted or secured.
So like giving someone a key to your house.
Exactly, and you don't really know who they are or what they're going to do with it.
So imagine an employee using an app that integrates with the company's Google Drive. But that app is using OAuth.
Right.
And maybe it hasn't been properly secured.
Okay.
It's like creating a backdoor into the company's data.
Exactly, and that backdoor might be completely invisible to IT.
So it's like this hidden highway for data.
Yep, operating outside the view of traditional security tools.
And that's where things can get really dangerous.
Absolutely. It's a prime target for hackers looking to exploit weaknesses.
So even though OAuth is designed to be convenient, it can inadvertently create all these security risks.
It's a double-edged sword for sure.
And that's something that companies need to be aware of.
Absolutely. Awareness is key.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
We've talked about what shadow IT is, why people do it, the potential benefits and risks, and how OAuth can play a role in all of this.
Yep. It's a complex landscape for sure.
But the good news is that there are ways to manage these risks.
Absolutely.
And in the next part of this deep dive,
Oh,
we're going to explore some strategies that companies can use to get a handle on this whole shadow IT thing.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Me too. Stay tuned. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the potential downsides of shadow IT.
Yeah, the risks are definitely real.
But now I want to shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about solutions.
Okay.
Because let's be realistic here.
Yeah.
Shadow IT isn't going away anytime soon.
It's part of the modern workplace now.
Exactly. So instead of trying to eliminate it entirely,
Right.
I think companies need to find ways to manage it effectively.
It's about finding that balance.
Right, because on the one hand,
Yeah.
you don't want to stifle innovation by being too restrictive.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, you need to make sure that security and compliance aren't compromised.
Right. So how do you walk that tightrope?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
Well, I think one of the most effective strategies
Yeah.
is to establish a clear shadow IT policy.
Okay, so what would that look like?
Basically, it outlines the boundaries of acceptable technology use.
Okay.
It defines the risks involved, and it establishes a process for evaluating and approving new tools.
So it's like a set of guidelines.
Exactly, a framework for making decisions about technology.
And this policy would need to be tailored to the specific organization.
Oh, absolutely. One size fits all doesn't work here.
Right, because different companies have different risk tolerances.
Right, exactly. For example,
Yeah.
a company that deals with highly sensitive data
Okay.
They're going to have much stricter rules.
Right, and they can't afford to take any chances.
Exactly. Whereas a startup
Yeah.
might be a little more flexible.
Right, they need to move fast and experiment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the key is to find that sweet spot.
That balance between control and flexibility.
Right. You want to empower employees to use technology effectively,
Yeah.
but you also need to protect the company.
Okay, so let's say I'm an employee.
Yeah.
And I found this amazing new tool that I think could really help my team.
Okay.
What's the right way to bring this to IT's attention?
That's where the procurement process comes in.
Okay, so instead of just downloading the tool and start using it, there's a formal channel for suggesting new technologies.
Exactly. It's all about communication and collaboration.
So it's like a pitch process.
Yeah, kind of.
You have to make your case for why this tool is essential.
Right. You outline the benefits, how it aligns with business needs,
Yeah.
and why the existing IT-approved solutions aren't sufficient.
So IT becomes more of a partner.
Exactly. They're not just the gatekeepers.
Right. They're helping to evaluate and implement new technologies.
Exactly. And that's a much healthier dynamic.
Yeah, because it gives employees a voice. But it also ensures that things are done securely and compliantly.
Absolutely. It's a win-win.
Okay, so we've got policies and procedures in place, but I think there's another piece of the puzzle here.
Okay, what's that?
Employee education.
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
Because a lot of times employees might not even realize that they're doing something risky.
They might have the best intentions.
Right. They just want to get their work done.
Exactly.
Right.
But they might not understand the security implications.
So how do you address that?
Well, training is key.
Okay.
You need to educate employees about the risks of shadow IT and the importance of working with IT to find secure solutions.
So it's not about scaring them.
Right.
It's about empowering them to make informed decisions.
Exactly. You want them to understand the why behind the policies.
Right. So they can be part of the solution.
Exactly. And it's not just about telling them what not to do.
Okay.
It's also about showing them the tools and resources that are available to them.
Right. So if they need a collaboration platform, there's a secure company sanction option.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about making it easy for them to do the right thing.
So it's about creating a culture of security awareness.
Absolutely. Where everyone understands their role in protecting the company.
So we've talked about policies, procurement processes, and employee education. Any other strategies that companies should consider?
One approach that's gaining some traction is this idea of managed shadow IT.
Managed shadow IT. What is that?
So basically, it's about creating a controlled environment where employees can experiment with new technologies, but without putting the organization at risk.
So it's like a sandbox.
Exactly. A safe space to play around.
I like that.
Yeah, it allows IT to monitor what's going on, assess the risks, and provide guidance.
Okay.
Without stifling innovation.
So it's like embracing the shadow IT.
Yeah, kind
of. But in a controlled way?
Exactly. It's about channeling that entrepreneurial spirit.
So instead of seeing shadow IT as the enemy, you can actually turn it into an asset.
Exactly. You can leverage it to your advantage.
This is really interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept.
So we've gone from defining shadow IT and understanding its risks to exploring some pretty sophisticated strategies for managing it.
And I think the key takeaway here is that it's all about finding that balance.
Oh, sweet spot.
Exactly, between embracing innovation
Yeah.
and protecting the organization.
And that balance is going to look different for every company.
Oh, absolutely. There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right. It's about understanding your own unique needs and risks.
Exactly. And adapting your approach accordingly.
Yeah. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But I want to touch on one more thing before we wrap up.
What's that?
Artificial intelligence.
Ah, yes, the AI elephant in the room.
Because AI is changing everything.
It really is.
And it's definitely having an impact on the shadow IT landscape.
Oh, for sure. AI tools are becoming more and more accessible.
Right, and they're often integrated with platforms that we use every day.
Exactly, like email and messaging apps.
So employees might be using AI for work without even realizing the potential implications.
Like a whole new layer of shadow IT.
Right, because these AI tools are often processing and sharing data outside of the company's control.
Exactly. It's a big concern.
So what can companies do about this?
Well, I think it goes back to those core strategies we talked about.
Right, policies, procurement, education.
Exactly. You need to have clear guidelines in place. You need to have a process for evaluating and approving these AI tools.
Yeah.
And you need to educate employees about the risks.
Because ultimately, it's about creating a culture of awareness and responsibility.
Absolutely, when it comes to AI and shadow IT.
Knowledge is power.
It really is.
And the more we understand these technologies, the better equipped we'll be to use them safely and effectively.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, it really feels like we've just scratched the surface here.
I know, right? There's so much more we could talk about.
It's such a complex and evolving topic.
And it's only going to get more complex as technology keeps advancing.
Right. So what's the one thing that you want our listeners to remember about shadow IT?
That's a good question.
What's the key takeaway?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that shadow IT isn't inherently good or bad.
Okay.
It's not like this evil thing that needs to be eradicated.
Right.
It's simply a reflection of how people are using technology to get their work done.
It's a reality of the modern workplace.
Exactly. And the challenge
Yeah.
is finding ways to manage it effectively.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between embracing the benefits of new technology and mitigating the risks.
Exactly. You got to strike that balance.
And that balance is going to be different for every organization.
Oh, absolutely. It depends on so many factors.
Right, like the size of the company, the industry they're in, their risk tolerance.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
So what are some of the key things that companies should be thinking about?
Well, we've talked about a lot of them already.
Yeah.
Like having clear policies in place, establishing a robust procurement process,
Right.
and providing comprehensive employee education.
Yeah, those are all crucial.
Absolutely. But it also goes beyond that.
Okay, in what way?
Well, it's also about fostering a culture of open communication and collaboration.
Between IT and the rest of the organization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
IT can't be seen as the department of no.
Right. They need to be seen as partners.
Exactly. They need to be involved in the conversation from the beginning.
And that means employees need to feel comfortable coming to IT with their needs and ideas.
Absolutely. It's all about building trust.
So instead of trying to control everything from the top down, it's more about creating a collaborative environment.
Exactly, where everyone is working together.
To find the best solutions.
Right, solutions that are both innovative and secure.
It's a tall order.
It is, but it's not impossible.
And I think the companies that can figure this out, they're going to have a real competitive advantage.
Oh, absolutely. They'll be able to move faster, be more agile, and adapt to change more effectively.
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation.
It has. I've really enjoyed it.
I feel like I've learned so much about shadow IT.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's a topic that's always evolving.
And I think we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah. There's always more to learn.
So for our listeners out there, I encourage you to start thinking about how these concepts apply to your own workplaces. Have you encountered shadow IT in your organization?
What strategies are you using to manage it?
These are important questions to consider.
Absolutely, because shadow IT is here to stay.
And the more we understand it,
Yeah.
the better equipped we'll be to navigate it effectively.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of shadow IT.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
So keep learning, keep exploring.
And stay secure.
We'll see you next time.